You're watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. From Toronto, Ontario, I'm Catherine Bullock. Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace. Today, a conversation with Samer Majzoub about how his organisation in Montreal is going to commemorate the Quebec City Mosque shooting, whose Day of Remembrance is this coming Saturday. But first, some news headlines. The Freedom Convoy raises $3.7 million for Ottawa protests against vaccination rules. Town of Whitby, Ontario gives $10,000 in legal challenge against Bill 21. Study finds Muslim women in Canada face greater economic and social disparities than others. Activists call on Facebook to publicise human rights audit on India. And now, the details. The Freedom Convoy, a group of truck drivers protesting the vaccine mandate, raised $3.7 million to fund their peaceful rally, which is set to arrive in Ottawa on January 29th. Canada imposed a full vaccination rule on all truck drivers crossing the border on January 15th. The money was raised through GoFundMe by Tamara Litch, board member of the right-wing Maverick Party. The Canadian Trucking Alliance says that 90% of Canadian truck drivers have been vaccinated and states that they do not support the ongoing protest. The Town Council of Whitby, Ontario, unanimously passed a motion to provide $10,000 for the legal challenge against Quebec's Bill 21, which bans wearing any religious symbols while in positions of authority. Councillor Maliha Shahid told local media sources that the motion was important. She does not want any other province to follow in Quebec's footsteps. The money will contribute to the estimated $3.1 million of fighting the bill up to the Supreme Court. Earlier this week, the council declared January 29th as a day of remembrance of the 2017 Quebec City Mosque shooting. Muslim women face lower socio-demographic and economic outcomes than non-Muslim women, finds a report by the Canadian Council of Muslim Women. Released earlier this week, the report also found that minorities within Muslim women, including queer, disabled, and Black women, faced greater disparities than their counterparts. Assistant professor at the University of Toronto, Sarah Shah, based the report on the 2011 National Household Survey and held focus groups and interviews with women across Canada. Her report reinforces Black Muslim women's voices who have drawn attention to this for years. Last year in Edmonton, Black Muslim women were the target of several physical and verbal attacks. More than 20 human rights organizations are demanding that Facebook's audit report on India be made public. The social media giant has reportedly suppressed the audit for more than 6 months. Leaked documents claim Facebook's social media platforms were used to spread hatred and empower authoritarian countries to control political debate. The Washington Post reported Meta, Facebook's parent company, recruited the legal firm Foley Haug in 2020 to conduct an independent audit of its impact in India. According to the Wall Street Journal, Meta has limited the scope of the draft report and has delayed its distribution. And that's it for the news. Now we have with us a guest who remembers very well the Quebec City shooting on January 29th, which is upcoming commemoration on Saturday. Welcome to the show, Brother Samer Majzoub.
Thank you so much for having me.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Now, just a warning for the guests, this is going to be perhaps a difficult conversation with difficult memories. So if anyone's feeling overwhelmed by distress, we recommend they stop watching and call for help if they need it. You are from the Forum Musulman Canadien in French, or the Canadian Muslim Forum, CMF. Believe it was founded in 1994 and you're the president.
Yes, it is the case.
Yes. What will your organization be doing to commemorate on Saturday, January 29th, the Quebec City shooting?
First of all, thank you for having me. And this is a special memory for all of us. as Muslims, as Canadians, and as humans. For us, it is for the 5th year in a row, we do a joint event with the city of Montreal, Ville de Montréal, to commemorate this sad, extremely sad day and the loss of lives at that day. And this event is enjoined with the city since the first year. And nowadays, it is the only event that is around the country that is made in association with an official body. And in Quebec in particular, it carries a very important moral value. So on the 28th, inshallah, we'll have our event. On the 29th, we're having a special session with some politicians and figures that have recorded their emotions and words for the memory that we were going to post on our Facebook page, Canadian Muslim Forum page.
I remember the Premier of Quebec, after the shooting, sometime after, said that there's no problem of Islamophobia in Quebec. Is it difficult to get officials from the Ville de Montréal on a day that's got the word Islamophobia in it?
No, they are working hard. In the Ville de Montréal recently, alhamdulillah, we have advanced this, and the word Islamophobia started to be used by the French figures and French political figures. Quebec has its own challenges, like any other province, but certainly Quebec has its own challenges, and it is a continuous struggle. But alhamdulillah, I can easily say that Ville de Montréal is showing, the city of Montréal is showing a lot of understanding for the community, especially when it comes to such commemoration.
I'm very happy to know that. I mean, it's glad to know that there's that kind of attention and care and moving forward. The National Day of Remembrance, it's a very long name. I don't know why they couldn't think of something shorter. National Day of Remembrance of the Quebec City Mosque attacks and action against Islamophobia was proclaimed last year, but it's already been 5 years this coming weekend for the commemoration date. Why do you think it took 4 years to get the national government to agree for this day?
You know, getting from theory to actions and to decision making, it has its complications. It has its political dimension. Yes, it took so long, and we have to put in mind that the struggle to recognize and stand up against hate and Islamophobia witnessed a bloody turn, unfortunately, in 2017, but it has started in 2009. Our first visit as a CMF delegation to the House of Commons was 2010, where we were trying to make sure that the House recognizes Islamophobia. 2016, if you remember, sister, and you were one of the people that contributed to that movement, as we created our online petition E411 to recognize and condemn Islamophobia. And alhamdulillah, we were in Canada, the first ever Western country to have Islamophobia condemned in 2016, October 2016. Unfortunately, 2017 came up with this terror incident that we have witnessed, with those loss of lives at that time, to have this Islamophobia turning from just a matter of discussion to a center subject in our Canadian politics and Canadian social life. It took so much time because it took so much of advocacy, it took so much of decision making and discussion. But at the end, alhamdulillah, although it took that much time, but alhamdulillah, we can say that it is there, and that's what is important for the time being.
I know that CMF was heavily involved in the lobbying process. I mean, you've just mentioned it, starting way back in 2009, mashallah. But I do remember that there were differences of opinion in the Muslim community about what the lobbying should look like, what the day should be called, what should be involved. Can you shed a little bit of light on the internal differences of opinion about this?
You know, I would prefer to say it is different point of views. Yes, sister, it is, I think it was 2018, some community organizations, due to their own conclusions, that it is better to drop the word Islamophobia from the whole quest, from the whole struggle, and just replace it with the word hate. As a CMF, honestly, we did not approach it this way. We kept on advocating for the word Islamophobia, and we were very clear that we are a community that is clearly targeted And by dropping the word and diluting its meaning, it will be so much of a loss. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, it is proven again in London, Ontario, that Islamophobia may turn to be very bloody again and again. And we need to name it in order to be able to address it. By just avoiding naming the problem, the real problem, we have, let's say, rights, women's right. I cannot say just a human right generally, and I mean to focus on women's right, for example, just an example. So this is where we insisted in as a CMF, and we have partners that worked with us into this, and we went 2018 again for the House of the Commons by insisting to have Islamophobia to this subject. Alhamdulillah, all what I can say that the federal government and the federal leaders, at the end of the day, went and adapted the word Islamophobia for the day and for condemnation and for the work that Motion and 103 came out with the recommendations also to fight Islamophobia. I can say that Alhamdulillah, at the end of the day, this has been achieved, and everyone is in the community is back into this subject now, which is very positive, and that's what we were looking for.
Tell us what you remember about the day 5 years ago.
Sister, this is very hard to me, and every time I try to fight my tears onto this, and I remember doing this and speaking about it in front of maybe 50 TV channels at that time, the first year of our commemoration. I was it happens that I was back home, and I received a call from a friend that is close to the mosque, to the masjid in Quebec City. And he was telling me something that brought me not only tears, because I'm originally from a country, although I lived only 10 years of my life there, but where civil war was it was the title at that time. When I came, actually, before, I have been here for 32 years now, continuous. But at that time, when he called me to say, listen, Samer, I hear shooting, I hear something wrong at the mosque. He's just 2 minutes, 5 minutes away from the mosque. And I'm telling him, what are you talking about? And then I turned to TVs, and he was with me on the phone still, and the TVs were not talking about it, no news, nothing whatsoever. And my blood was boiling, and my tears was fighting my tears, until, unfortunately, the news one after the other came out saying, yes, there is shooting at the mosque. Until now, I feel it so much hard, having 17 orphans left, 6 widows, and our brother, Ayman Derballi, who has been living with his injuries all his life, disability. And it is a very hard memories that we try to not only to feel sorrow about it, but just to fight this kind of hate that we're facing in our countries. And we have seen this in London, Ontario, unfortunately,
That
recently
must have
also.
been very hard for you, that you must have felt totally helpless being on the phone and hearing that.
By
How
all
have you
means,
coped then? How have you helped yourself heal over the last years?
sister, by fighting Islamophobia, by standing to say no to hate in our countries and to in our country, by saying this should not be the blood should not be go in vain. That we need to come as Canadians. And by the way, this is not a Muslim concern by no way. And that's what, if you look at my writings in the news and on my pieces that I write, this is a human concern. This is a Canadian concern. And we went tens of times and met politicians and leaders and government leaders and House of Commons, and to say, listen, this is not a Muslim issue. This is a Canadian issue, a human issue. And our fight and stand up all together against hate and Islamophobia and anti-Semitism and the racial profiling makes us try to heal and inshallah
I
advance.
guess that means that you feel very happy that they finally listened and made the proclamation. We have to wrap it up, but if you just want to give a final 10 seconds.
All what I'm saying, first of all, thank you for bringing up this subject. And I don't want this subject only to be limited to January 29. I want this all together as a community, as Canadians, as all from all stripes and backgrounds, to always come together hand on hand to fight all bigotry and discrimination. And unfortunately, we have it. Does not mean we are in a racist country, not at all. We are not in a racist society, not at all. But the matter of fact, it is there. We have to come together on this continuous our civil struggle and should not give up on this whatsoever, inshallah.
And thank you for joining us. We have to leave it there, unfortunately.
Pleasure, sister. Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me again and again. Thank you so much.
You've been watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Stay tuned for our next episode. Stay safe and God bless.